Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
You guys look different than you looked the last time I saw you. More tired. Comes with it. Comes with it. Can I get I know you guys are tired. Y'all taught, and now this is our 5th calendar week to be in school. So this time of the year, start getting worn down a little bit. It's just part of it. You mentors and mentor leaders, you'll know that to be the case, and there's no way around it. It takes a lot of energy and effort to do what we do. But I do want to thank you guys for just being here. I know you have to be here. It's part of the program, but also know that the effort that it takes to just wrap everything up on a campus and hop in your car and hustle over here. So just know that I acknowledge that, and I appreciate the fact that you guys are here today ready to go. So certainly my hope is that for the next hour and a half or so, is that about right? About an hour and a half or so, time will go by quickly. Most importantly, I hope that you guys will pick up on some nuggets of information that are going to help you guys with as you continue your first year of teaching. You may feel like this today. You guys can see that. If you don't get that, it's after the session on Wednesday. No crap was that today. You got 2 dinosaurs. You did loads. That's not funny. My dad's bad word when he was upset was crap. He said crap and get out of the way. He didn't say it often, but I hope you guys are in a little bit of better shape and that your day hasn't been quite as bad as that. I want to do a quick review from the first session. And I know mentors and mentor leaders, you guys are not here for the first session. I know many of you have heard my presentation before. But I want to do a quick review because those foundational concepts that we talked about last session, those are the foundations. That's where you stay. That's where you stay home. That's what's going to make this whole thing work. So I'd be remiss if we just kind of moved right on along to the next concept today without going back over these. As you'll recall, the one that we spent the most time on in the last session was building relationships. The importance of doing that immediately, the importance of doing that ongoing, being conservative, and then a little less conservative as you go along. We talked about learning their names, those simple, very subtle ways of building those relationships with eye contact and gestures and a smile and just moving around and a little bit of physical contact if and where necessary. All of those things, and I hope that y'all have already begun to see the benefits of building those relationships. So as we move through today's presentation, you're going to hear me from time to time come back to building relationships and then the other 3 that we're going to review here really quickly. Because the things we'll talk about today are only going to be as effective as these 4 concepts that we've already talked about. The second one was managing your groups. And if you'll recall, that was basically seeing your classes through the lenses, through tier lenses, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, where the vast majority of your students in your classroom, about 85% of your kids are going to come into your classroom setting and they're going to get with your program just because. Tier 2 is about 10% of your kids or so are going to come in, they're going to be the fence sitters. You remember the fence sitters? And we talked about what a powerful group the fence sitters were, because you need to get those fence sitters on the correct side of the fence so that you can increase that 85% of your class closer to 90+% of your kids who are getting with your program. Those are the fence sitters. And then the third group was those tier 3 kids, and you might even have a tier 4 kid, and those are the kids who don't get with your program at all. And those are your really high maintenance behavior issues, and those tier 4 are kids that may have some special needs even. But if you will remember, these are concepts that if you can get the vast majority of your kids in your classroom, if you've got 22 kids in a room, or if you've got 30 kids in a room, if you're in a gym setting and you've got 100 students in the gym or the band, whatever it is, if you can get about 85 to 90% of your students who are walking in and they are compliant and they're doing the things that you want them to do, you've won a huge battle right there. Because then you just shrunk down your problem to a very small number of students. And I just encourage you guys to go back with your mentors and really talk about that. And now you've got 4+ weeks of school where you should clearly know your kids. And if they're tier 1, they're tier 2, or tier 3 from this perspective, not the academic tiers, from this perspective. And your sizes ought to be appropriate. And if they're not, and they may not be right now. And if they're not, work with your mentors, work with your mentor leaders to get those percentages more appropriate. That was the managing your group, simplifying the task before you. Third thing was sending appropriate messages. And that has everything to do with the way you carry yourself, the way you go about your business, your body language. We'll actually talk a good bit more today about body language in this second segment. But it's the way you present yourself to your students. Do they take you seriously? How do they see you? They see a person who knows what he or she is doing. And those messages are sent by very subtle things. Showing up on time, not showing up on time. Not knowing where your Kleenex boxes need to go. Remember that story? Those things. Jesse Schroeder, who I don't think is in here today, was in this presentation, I guess, last year. And I remember walking by his room last year, that first day or two of school, after he had heard that Kleenex box story, and he would want to make sure that I saw his Kleenex box. I walked by again this year, before school started. Dr. Kirkbride, you got to come in, I got to show you my Kleenex boxes. All lined up. But that was message sending, making sure that the things that you're saying, the things that you're doing, all the time, you're on this spotlight. The kids are sizing you up and checking you out. That all of the things that you're doing, that the kids are seeing the right things, so that they take you serious as the classroom teacher. And then at the end of last session, we talked about classroom structure. I mean, at the very end, I gave you a little 5-minute just preview. And essentially, I told you, and we'll go back over it in much more detail today, the classroom structure is the way things are done in your classroom. And that's where we're going to jump off, and that's where we're going to get started today. And if you'll recall, before I click it up here, who can tell me what was the little catchphrase, the phrase that I kept telling you guys is so important as it pertains to these 4 foundational concepts? Stay above the line. Stay above the line. You said that, Baron? Awesome. Good job. We talked about the importance. Go back. We talked about the importance of staying above that line. I asked you guys to highlight that line. I asked you to put sparkles around it. It was important. And it's still important. 5 weeks have gone by and that line is still important. If you've done all these things and been doing all these things, you're going to be in much better shape if you haven't. If you'll remember, I also told you that you're not going to get it all done perfectly. So, if you've not done a great job building relationships, if you've not been managing your groups or got the correct percentages where they need to be, if you've not been sending the right messages, and you don't have things set up in your classroom to run a certain way, and your students know that, again, we'll talk about it here starting off today, you've got to go back and fix it. Remember, I let you give yourself a break. Don't beat yourself up. If you remember, don't beat yourself up. And guys, today, that's really real. The last time we talked, I think August 5th, was that the date? August 5th? Y'all hadn't seen your students yet. So as I was talking about don't beat yourself up, y'all said, yeah, okay, got it, don't beat myself up. Well, now you're living it. And so I want to remind you, and I'm very serious when I say this, don't beat yourself up. The second thing I said was, you got to own it. You got to get in there and you got to own it. You got to take ownership of it. And then the third was, it's going to take time and it's going to take energy. So here you are. You're on 5th calendar week of school. I don't know where each of you guys have fallen on these 4 things above the line. I don't know how well you've stayed above the line. You know, your mentor needs to know, your mentor leader needs to know. But wherever you are, it's not going to be perfect. So all of us, all of you have a job to do starting tomorrow. And that's to not beat yourself up. Get in there and own it. Begin to fix it. And know that it's going to take time. Stay above the line. So, today, we're going to start off with our classroom structure. And that is all about the way things are done in your classroom. You remember, you last session that I am not this. I didn't tell you last session. I want to tell you today how your classroom should run. That'd be a waste of my time and your mentor and mentor leader. That's part of their responsibility to help you kind of figure that out, and that's important. You've got to learn how things are done in your classroom. Most importantly, your students have to know how things are done in your classroom. That there are specific ways to do things. You guys, I understand clearly that looks differently in Ms. Booker's second grade class as it may look in Ms. Counts' biology. What grade did you teach?
Juniors and freshmen.
Okay, juniors and freshmen. I understand that looks differently. But Stacy has certain things that she does in her classroom. If there are expectations, there's certain ways to do things in Stacy's classroom. Same thing with Carla. There's ways that you do things. You have to have a specific way of doing things in your classroom. Clarity must exist among your students. And that is key. Concepts. So let this sink in and write this down if you need to. The students have to have clarity about the way things are done in your classroom. You may walk in every single day and you have absolute clarity about the way things are run in your classroom. If your kids don't, well, then really it's you. It really doesn't matter. They need to know. Students can do anything that you ask them to do. Students can do anything that you ask them to do. They are waiting to see if you're one of the teachers that's going to make them do the things that you're asking them to do. Remember, they've got a lot of experience with this. By the time they get to high school, they've had, I don't know how many teachers they've had. 30 teachers, maybe more, 30, 40 teachers. If you've got 6 teachers a year, as soon as you start being McDaniel, lots of teachers. All of them have done it a little bit differently. All of them have different expectations in the classroom. And I wish I could say that all of them have clarity with their students about the way things are done, but that's not the world that we live in. So they have had experiences with adults and different teachers. Some said this is the way we do it, and made them do it that way. Some said this is the way we do it, and we didn't do it that way at all. Some of them said this is the way we do it, but somewhere in between. You want to be a person that when you say this is the way we do it, this is the way we do it, they can do it if you hold them to it. So remember, clarity must exist. And that's not just about how things are done, but it's also about their behavior expectations. And I want to say this to you as well. Students can behave. Now, some students are more challenging than others. I get that. Amen. Some kids are more challenging than others. But they all, to some extent, they'll behave the way that you expect them to behave. Remember, Tier 1, Tier 2, Tier 3, the vast majority of them behave because they can. Those that struggle, more time, more energy. And remember, they have lots of years' experience with all these things. So classroom structure, the way things are done in your classroom. Raise your hand if you like to be frustrated. Y'all didn't hear me? Raise your hand if you like to be frustrated. Nobody likes to be frustrated, right? Joel, you like to be frustrated? Okay. Back to this idea of clarity. Guys, if you've ever been in a situation we all have where there just isn't clarity about things, it's very frustrating. No one wants to be in that situation. Frustration leads to confusion, can lead to some unstable or unstable situations. I've been in graduate level, doctoral level classes where the professor was so confusing, so frustrating, that it was very difficult for me to learn over the course of a graduate semester. So imagine a 5-year-old, 15-year-old, 12-year-old in a situation where there's no clarity, they don't know what to expect, the adult that's leading things is not prepared and not ready. It's a very frustrating thing. Write a couple of these things down. Procedures will create a stable environment. Procedures will create a stable environment for your classroom. Stability. Procedures should serve a purpose in your classroom. Procedures should serve a purpose. Don't let that one fly over you. We're tired. Don't let that get by you. You may have procedures in the classroom that serve absolutely no purpose. If that's the case, get rid of it. It needs to serve a purpose. It needs to be a reason for being there. Procedures should save you and the students, but really you, I'll just call it what it is. You should have procedures in your classroom that should save you time and save you energy. Save you time and save you energy. And if you've got these procedures that don't serve a purpose and they're not saving you time and saving you energy, then what's the point of having that procedure in place? So you may have at the beginning of the year thought you had all these awesome procedures that you thought you needed to have in place. Well, 5 weeks in, maybe it's time, or it is time. Let's go back and check those. Check them with your mentor, check them with your mentor leader, check them with someone on your team, and look at those procedures. And procedures should be preventative. They should prevent problems from happening. Quick little slide I always put up here, and then you see the kid down here in the corner. Robert, why is it necessary for you to walk up and down every aisle 3 times whenever you go to the pencil sharpener? Now, would a procedure fix this problem right here? Absolutely. Would it prevent this problem, Ms. Turner? You have a procedure in your place, or in your classroom for kids sharpening pencils? Okay, absolutely. Clarity's got to exist. So stay ahead of it. I want to give you a couple of quick examples of saving time, saving energy, and just doing some things that make sense. At Terrell Elementary, where I was the principal for several years, most of my classroom behavior experiences were in the cafeteria. And I always kind of say it in a joking way, because I know cafeteria is not a classroom. I get that. But the concepts still apply. So we are in my first year at Terrell. I already told you, I didn't tell the story the first time I did it. I don't think so. So I've come into the cafeteria, and I've inherited the way that the tables are set up. We've got these long rows of tables. There's 6 long rows of tables. Stephanie, I don't know if you remember when the tables were all just these 6 long rows. So I just thought, okay, that's the way it is. It's a cafeteria, it's square, 6 tables, that's where you put them, right? Right. So I don't know how long we've been going, and I was getting a little frustrated because the obvious problem was there was only one way to get to certain points. So if I'm up here at the very front, the only way for me to get to the back, to Ms. Turner back there, is I have to go all the way there and all the way back to get to Ms. Turner. And that's just the way it was. I lived with it for a long time. We had a volunteer, his name was Fred Stitt. We called him Mr. Fred. Mr. Fred, I don't want to get off on how I feel about Mr. Fred, but he was an amazing volunteer for the district for years and years and years. Fred was always all over the building. He was always kind of just offering little tidbits of information and ideas. So one day, he and I are in the cafeteria, and there's no kids in there. And he walks up to me, and he had this real humble way about him. And he said, Dr. Kirkbride, I've got a suggestion. I know you're running this school, and I know you like the way things are, and you want to do things a certain way. He said, but I have an idea. I said, yes, sir, what is it? So he walks over to the end of the first table, and he just kind of pulls the table out. And he walked to the other end of the cafeteria, and he did the same thing. He pulled the table out. And so all of a sudden, instead of having one long row of tables right here, what did we all of a sudden have? Mr. Fred just pulling the 2 ends out. What do we have? You got an aisle. Okay? You got a table, a walking aisle, a table, and a walking aisle. And in 10 seconds, Fred Stitt just, you might as well just take a big old stick and just whack me over the head. He just said, anyway, and I was like, duh. And so in a matter of about 60 seconds, maybe a little bit longer, he and I together went and pulled out all the edges on both sides of it, voila. Is the cafeteria still set up that way? Okay. And so now, I need to get back there to Miss Uten, and I don't have to walk all the way down to that corner and all the way to the back. I can go right through here. There I am. I can also I can stand right in the middle, kind of like I could in this room. And now I can suddenly manage everything. Why am I going through this story? That was a procedural furniture kind of setup that was so simple, and I wasn't seeing it. And it solved a lot of problems in the cafeteria. It allowed me to be preventative. It served a purpose. It saved me time and energy. It was better for the kids. It was just a better setup. And here we are 14 years later, and that's the setup because that's the setup. That's what it needs to be. Okay. Another quick example in that cafeteria I want to share with you is we were having a hard time with kids going through the serving line. They just were loud. They were loud, a little unruly, and they weren't bad kids. They just were going through unruly. It was loud. The cafeteria was kind of getting loud. We also had these long lines of kids standing on the wall. Elementary. Okay? And so we did 2 things. We went to, if you're standing, there's no talking. Once you sit down in the cafeteria, you can talk. Standing, no talking. You can sit, you can talk. And then it's another one of these duh moments. One class was in the line that is empty. Just one instead of 4. It was just had 80 kids lined up on this wall, out into the hallway, and the expectation in the cafeteria was no talking. Okay. 89-year-olds don't talk for 15 minutes while you're standing in close quarters with people. It's ridiculous. But you know, we were wearing these kids out. These kids can't be quiet. These kids, you know, just do what makes sense. So we had a committee. We got together. We're kind of talking about the Terrell way. That's where the Terrell way came from, Stephanie. Started talking about different behavior expectations. So we picked 700. Standing, not talking, one class at a time. They went through the line much quicker. They got to sit down. They got through the line in about 2.5, 3 minutes at most. 30-minute lunch period. They were able to sit and talk to their friends for about 25 minutes. Rather than stand in the line, get at for about 15 minutes, and then sit down and probably be in trouble with the cafeteria still have an idea to start first. Standing, not talking. Seated, talking. One class at a time. The reason, again, I go through these simple examples, even though it's a cafeteria, you got things in your classroom that are applicable. Something very simple. And if you're an inexperienced teacher and have a room full of them, lean on your mentors, have someone come in. What do you see in here that's not serving your purpose? What do you see in here that's just one of those, duh, we need to change that. Okay, procedures. Make sure. Create a stable environment, serve a purpose, save time and energy, make sure that they are preventative. Let's look at the next section. Routines. What's the difference in a procedure and a routine? Is there a difference in a procedure and a routine? Ms. Land, shaking your head, what's the difference in a procedure and a routine?
Routines are kind of patterns that are expected that you follow through. And procedures are more like guidelines you can follow the way things are done in those routines.
Okay, good. You're right. You might be more, you're smarter than I am. You might know, you're exactly right. You might have a different response to that, a different way to put that.
Procedures are taught and routines just kind of come natural in
Well,
a way.
they don't come natural.
Well, I mean, but like, they're not as explicit, maybe?
They come as a result of
Yeah.
procedures and practice. So a procedure is just a procedure. You can write 1,000,000 of them on a sheet of paper. You can put 1,000,000 of them on your walls all the way around your room, and that's all they are is a procedure. They can serve a purpose on paper. They can save you time and energy on paper. You have a great idea for this on paper, but they don't really matter until they become a routine, and they don't become a routine until you have practiced it. And here's the kicker: the kids do it without being told. That's how you know it's become a routine. So you've got this procedure in your classroom on how to sharpen a pencil, Christine. And the way that you know that that's become a routine for your students is that they always follow that procedure. You never have to remind them. You never have to say anything. Johnny never gets up, or Robert, I think was his name. Was his name Robert? Never have to get up and say, you need to go back to your seat, remember the procedure for that. That's a routine. They do it without being told. So we're going to talk a little bit about how you make your procedures become routines. You need to teach and practice them until they're met. Teach and practice your routines, or excuse me, your procedures until they become a routine. Practice, practice, practice. Second grade looks different than high school. I don't know that high school teachers say to you, don't get your kids up and make them go out in the hallway and line up the bubbles in the mouth and all that. But, like I asked you at the very front end of this, you have a way that things are supposed to be done in your classroom, and you expect those to be done.
We're still working.
And you're still working on them 5 weeks into school. And if you want those things at a high school level to become routine so that you don't have to tell the 15 or 18-year-olds how to do whatever you need them to do in your biology class, you practice it. And you practice it, and you practice it. At elementary, you've got to be very explicit. You practice and you practice and you practice and you line up and make them get in the line until it is exactly the way you want it to be. So practice your procedures. Teaching expectations and procedures will be much easier. Let's go back above the line. If you have appropriate relationships, good, solid relationships with your kids. Think about this. Teaching procedures so they become routine will be much easier If you built your relationships with your kids and you sent the proper messages to your students, they take you seriously, they see you as a person who means business, who knows what he or she is doing, and your group sizes are the right percentages in your classroom. Doesn't that make sense? Practice and practice and practice, and you have good relationships. They take you seriously, Pete, and you've got your percentages correct in your classrooms. And it will be equally difficult to teach a procedure to become a routine if you've not stayed above the line. You have no relationships with your kids, or not good relationships with all your kids. They don't take you seriously from the get-go. When you walk through the room, they don't view you as the authority in the room. And if you've got your tier 1s about 30%, you go to teach a procedure, it's going to be very difficult for that to become a routine. So if you stay above the line, that'll be much, much easier. And if procedures have not become routine, do not give up and keep teaching them. First year teachers, your homework, one of your homework assignments is to go back to your classroom tomorrow. Begin to see how many of your procedures are now routines. Are your kids coming in, doing what you're asking them to do because it has become routine? And observe. Observe all day long. Observe the next 3 days. Observe the rest of the week and take some good notes. Bring your mentor in. Bring your mentor leader in and have them observe. Looking for routines, not procedures. Another piece of classroom structure. What does your slide say? Back up. We'll get to that here in just a minute, okay? Because that's important. So we'll get to that. Consistency. First year teachers, I know you're tired. I want you to sit up and I want you to pay attention. I want you to listen. Concepts. Guys, this is one, if you're a parent, it's golden. If you're a teacher, it's golden. If you teach your Bible class, it's golden. It's golden. You've got to be consistent with what you do and what you say and what you tell your students. You need to mean what you say and always expect it. Write it down. Mean what you say and always expect it. This is consistency. Fred Jones, in my last session, I told you most of my concepts and ideas come from Fred Jones and Harry Wong. Fred Jones, and I've heard him speak live, said that consistency is like being dead. You either are or you aren't. You can't be kind of dead, you can't be sort of dead, I'm pretty dead. You're dead. You're dead or you're alive, there's no in between. Consistency, Fred Jones would say, and it makes a lot of sense. And we say it all the time. Are you consistent? I'm pretty mostly consistent. I'm consistent most of the time. Well, inherently in that statement, that doesn't make any sense. You can't be mostly consistent. You either are or you aren't. And so when you tell your group of students something, you need to stick to it. Or change it. Or change it. So guys, don't hear from me that once you say something, you've got to be so inflexible, what's the other word, rigid, with something that you can't change it. You can change it, you just have to tell them if you're going to change it. And that brings up a whole other little concept there. Now I want you to think about something else as far as consistency is concerned. Fred Jones, when he presented it, made a lot of sense to me at the time. And I'd never thought about it this way before. The closer you are to being consistent, without actually being consistent, the worse off you are. Because if you are consistent 99 out of 100 times, and then that one time you go, you know the parents, from a parent perspective. Okay, right. Whatever it is, go do that. What if you just taught your children or your students, if 99 times out of 100 you said no, let's just simplify it, you said no and then one time, you give a little huff, a little eye roll, and you finally say yes. What have you taught your kids? Nagging pays off. What's another word? What?
Oh, I was thinking just taught them to ask you 100 times.
That's it. You just taught them. And that's all. Think about that for a second. You just taught them nag 100 times, and finally you're going to break at some point. Finally, you're going to break. And that's a bad thing to do. Because if kids pick up on that, going back to our message sending, but man, we just got to wear it out. We just got to be persistent enough. Just keep packing, keep packing, keep packing, keep packing. That will wear you out. But if you are a wall, Linda Ridgeway, I'm going to reference her a couple times today. Linda Ridgeway was a teacher on my campus. She's over at BMAC right now. She was a wall. When she said no, she meant no, and Linda had wisdom enough to say yes when it was time and to acknowledge that she was changing the rule. Kids didn't get the sense that they just wore her down. You can't wear Linda Ridgeway down. You can't do it. So, if you've met the true definition of consistency when you are teaching your procedures so that they become routines, if you've been consistent, the result will be that expectations are met and procedures become routine. But you are also laying the groundwork for future expectations and future routines. So, let's go back to the first day of school, first couple of days of school. You're teaching these procedures that you want them to become routine. And you've stayed above the line, you have been consistent, you've been a wall. And you teach procedure number 1, Caroline, whatever that is, procedure number 1. And maybe you have to practice that 100 times, Pete, because they didn't get it right. You practice it, you practice it, you practice it, you practice it, you're a wall, and you're not giving up. And 100 times it took for those kids to sharpen the pencils the correct way. And then when it was the way that you wanted it, then we moved on to procedure number 2. And with procedure number 2, if you stayed above the line and you've been consistent and said what you meant and you practiced and practiced and practiced and practiced until they met your expectation, you get to procedure number 2 and hope, maybe you only have to do it 80 times. Okay? And you get that down. You stay above the line and you mean what you say. And you practice and you practice and you practice and you practice and you're a wall. And then you get to procedure number 3, you're probably going to be down about 50 times. I'm using this for all I don't want to trade on the joking point. But if you go back to procedure number 1, and you do it, 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 it's time to go to lunch and you're tired, you're hungry, man, I don't want to get in trouble because I got to get my kids down the hallway. And you say, all right, we'll move on, we'll get back to this later. Rule number 2 is going to be 100 plus. And rule number 3 is going to be 100 plus. And then in a matter of about 3 days, you are plumb wore out and your kids aren't going to what you're asking them to do. Your procedures are just procedures, they're not routines. Put in the time. It's going to take time. It's going to take energy. Okay? But these are just basic concepts, guys. And I'm over-exaggerating this to some extent by practicing 100 times, but maybe not so much, Carl. The point is, practice it until it meets your expectation, whatever that is. I'm not telling you what those things are inside your classroom. And I'll give you a couple of quick examples about being consistent, meaning what you say, and following through with it. I'll give you a quick, pretty simple example. Ty Kirkbride, he's my freshman. Ty Kirkbride's a good kid. He's not perfect, but he's a good kid. So Ty Kirkbride and I are on the way to the football game Friday night, riding in the car, and Ty Kirkbride wants to be ball boy. Ty Kirkbride's been ball boy since probably, I don't know, 5th, 6th, 7th grade. I mean, he's been doing it for a while. He's got a little shirt, he's proud of it, ball boy. Dad, Coach wants me to be on the sideline with ball boy. I said, I don't know about tonight. I don't want you to sit with me. Brother Luke's going to be up here. Your youth ministry will be up there. We've got a new ministry at church. I want you to sit with me tonight. Got the Indiana there too. And I just wanted Ty with me in the stands. So, Dad, Coach wants me there, you know. Ty, I get it. I understand. Maybe. So maybe at halftime. Maybe at halftime. We'll see. Maybe we'll let you get down there. Got it? Yes, sir. So, halftime comes. I stay for the band. Where are my band people? Where are my band people? Band was awesome Friday night. Enjoyed that. So I watched Touch of Gold, and then I went down. I mean, the other band's good, but I want to hear you guys. So I go down and actually took Beth and Ben and Mom, who was getting off work, and we stayed just for the first half. Go down there to get concessions, take a restroom break, and I got held up by the whole wide world. Just talking and busy and whatnot. So I'm late getting back to my seat. Matter of fact, I think they scored 2 touchdowns, literally. You know, they scored boom, boom, boom like that in the third quarter of the night. I missed the first 2 touchdowns because I was out busy. So I finally get to my seat, and guess who's not there? Tyler Kirkbride. I look over at Tyler, who's the youth minister, and he said, Ty told me to tell you he was going down there and walk. All right, Tyler's a good kid. Tyler's a good kid. Dealt with his extremely important. Ty knew from me as his dad, I mean what I say. So, I don't say a word to him. The game's over, he's having to run around, having his fun, get in the car, driving home. I'm just quiet, talking about the game a little bit. So, Ty, what happened to you? I got over there, you were down there on the sideline. Oh, Dad, Coach looked up at me, he waved me on, he said, need me on down there, need some help down the sideline. So, I waited on you for a couple minutes, and I told Tyler to tell you I was going down the sideline. You know, I went down there. What did I tell you? You said maybe. I said, that's right. Maybe what? Yes, and maybe no. I said, all right, well, you want to be ball boy next couple of football games? He said, yes, sir. So the next game is an automatic no. There's no ball boy for the next game. You know, that's not huge. Okay, but it's a tie. He got it. So he could have taken, I was going to let him go down there, and he probably knew that. So that's my point. Here, this is where I want to make my point. Ty knew me. He knew that the likelihood of me letting him go down there and be ball boy was very high. And Ty took a risk. Okay? But here's the danger if I had just said, no big deal. I was going to let him do it anyway. No big deal. And if I don't say anything to him and don't punish him, I'm not telling you how to punish your kids. And then Ty learned something about his dad that night. Dad doesn't really mean what he says. Let that sink in. Dad said maybe at halftime. I went anyway. He didn't say anything. I didn't get in trouble for that. My dad doesn't really mean what he says. He's 14 and a half, almost 15 years old. I've raised the child. But guys, it's that consistency piece. That's the 99 out of 100. Does that mean we're going to be perfect? No, but we got to try. Especially if you're 22 kids or 80 kids, however many kids you got. It's that important. You have to be consistent because it matters. I've got another quick story, and I'll really speed this up. Terrell, several years ago, had a kid I wanted to keep after school. He was a tough kid, ED kid, and I told him, you're going to stay after school until you write these sentences. And there was only about 10 sentences. It wouldn't take him 10 minutes, probably not even 10 minutes to do that. You're not going home until you write these sentences. Now, I had enough wisdom to call his grandmother in advance because I knew I don't tell that to a kid unless I can back that up. Now, the situation with Ty, I can back that up 100%. I'm his dad, he's my kid, I got all the control in the world. But with this kid, his name was Elijah, I had no control unless I called his grandmother. I called his grandmother before I set this up, before I told him this, and I said, look, I'm going to have Elijah write these sentences for me, and I told him, I'm going to tell him he can't go home until he finishes it. I need your full support. Meaning, you need to allow him to stay as long as it takes. As long as it takes. She said, okay. I said, no, I need you to really understand it. So like 3 hours, 4 hours, whatever it takes. Are you with me, Grandma? With me. Got it. Speed the story up. Elijah threw a fit, said all kinds of horrible things. I mean, it's ugly, and we're sitting there, and I'm just sticking to it. Write your sentences, you go home. Write your sentences, you go home. He ultimately threatened to leave. I said, if you leave, I'm going to have to call the police, because the sun's going down, and it was. My office faces west. You could literally see the sun going down. At one point, I called my wife, and I said, I didn't really call my wife, but he thought I did. Sweetie, it's going to be a while. And I'm milking. Yeah, tell the kids I'm sorry, I'm milking. I know it's been a couple of days since I've really spent some good time with you. No, you don't need to bring me dinner. I'll be all right. I'm sure you'll write sentences. So I go through this whole thing with him. It was a good solid 3 hours. Finally picked up the pencil. He wrote his sentences. As quick as he turned to me, I picked up the phone, called his grandmother, Miss, I don't remember her last name, Dozier. Miss Dozier, Elijah just finished his sentence. Was Elijah a perfect kid the rest of the year? Absolutely not. What did he learn from Dr. Kirkbride that day? He means what he says. I put the time in. It was 3 hours, and I did. I missed some time with my family. But I knew I needed to invest in this kid, and I did, and it paid off for me. It paid off for that kid. But had I, here's the other story. Different kid, 5 years later, same setup. Mama did not follow up on her end. I was 2 hours in with this kid. 2 hours in. And Mama pulls up in the parking lot, knocks on the door, and says, I got to take you. We got to go. Done. That kid learned the opposite lesson that day. And to this day, he's over at the high school. There's this little wall there because that day, Jeremy, I'm not making this stuff up. That moment right there when Mama did came and got him, it severed something right there got situations like that. But that's how important it is, the consistency issue. And then, so let's get to the litmus test real quickly. Pay now or pay later. Oh, why that slide is that slide? But anyway, we'll get to that because I think I've already kind of addressed that to some extent. Let's see if this other slide's there. There it is. Well, I got it all. How do you know? How do you know that you taught these procedures that have become routine? The simple answer is, are they doing what you've asked them to do? And look at this quick slide. And have your attention, please. No. Okay. We laugh about that. That's a funny cartoon. But guys, your reality in your classroom, if they are not doing what you're asking, this may be, and it's not, and it won't be funny. It's funny now. This is not funny if this is where you are in your classroom right now. You ask your students to please can you have your attention or go sharpen your pencil a certain way, or whatever the case may be, and they holler no at you, collectively, maybe not literally, that's not a good place to be. And are you nagging? I know what nagging is. I already wrote that earlier today. If you are having to repeat yourself over and over again, Elizabeth, if your arms are coming up even sometimes and flapping a little bit, and you're nagging like this, I've told you 100 times, I've told you a million times. How many times do I have to tell you? Guys, those are just huge red flags that your procedures are not routine, your kids aren't taking them seriously, and you need to go back and own it, fix it, time and energy to take care of it. Okay. Pay now or pay later. Oh, I do want to visit about that for a second. You veteran teachers, is that fair to say if you don't put your time and energy on the front end, that it's going to come back and bite you? Sometimes, maybe. What do you think, Carla? All the time. It'll come back and bite you every time if you don't put your time in on the front end. Think about it from just some life examples. Your vehicle maintenance. How many of you guys in here follow the maintenance schedule? Really? You follow the maintenance schedule? You follow the maintenance schedule? And it costs what to do that on the front end?
Not as much as it would if I had to have.
But it does cost what? It costs time and it costs money. Okay? It's that engine flush. Whatever that is. I've never had an engine flush in my life. Luke Kirkbride, I'll tell a quick story. Luke Kirkbride, he is my senior in high school. I gave him my debit card the other day and I said, go change your oil in your truck. Yes, sir. He goes and he calls us a little bit later. Neither Christine and I are available to take his phone call. He's at the oil change place. And the guy's trying to sell him an engine flush. $50 engine flush. The guy's like, man, you really need your 90,000 miles over. So he's like, Dad, I said it was so important. I said, did you tell me your car would not pull off the lot if you need this engine flush? Did you try to call us? Yes, I tried to call you and Mom. Both. No one available. Right. He said I had to have it. That's right. So he doesn't need it flush. He doesn't pay for the engine flush. Luke Kirkbride. Luke Kirkbride don't have a job. So Luke Kirkbride's in debt to that $50. I got to figure out what else to do there. So thank you for letting me whine again. So you guys that do your engine flushes, you'll pay on the front end, but down the road, it won't be near as expensive. Home maintenance. Take care of your house, put the money on the front end to do all the things you got to do down the long road, it'll pay off for you. Your health. That hamburger sure tastes good, Jeremy. Man, it's good. Like every day it's good. It's never not good, the hamburger. It's always good. But y'all know if we don't take care of our bodies, put it in on the front end, down the long. So, same thing with your classroom management, guys. Put your time and energy. Yes?
My first year you said it's like the story, build your house on sand or build your house on stone. What do you want your foundation to be?
Sand or stone?
That's a good one.
Sand or stone. Okay, put your time in the parable. That's right. In the parable, you cut corners. And y'all know if you cut corners in any area of life, you're going to pay for it later. Don't cut corners. Okay. I want you guys to take, we spent a lot of time here today. We got more to go. I want to stop right here, and I want y'all to do some reflection. And I want you to talk with your people. I want you to take 5 minutes. And then we'll come back. And I should have said this on the front end. Because our time is kind of short tonight, if you need to take a restroom break, I'm going to let you just kind of take them as you need. But don't take them right now in the next 5 minutes. When these 5 minutes is over, when we get started back, otherwise I'll lose you guys and you'll be gone. But take 5 minutes to talk to your partners, and then we'll get back in 5 minutes if you need to take an individual restroom. This next section, so we're getting a little closer to kids being in trouble. Okay, so if you came 2 sessions ago to the last session, you thought I was going to stand here and talk to you guys about what to do to kids when they don't act right, we're getting a little closer to that. We're about to drop below the line. Okay, are y'all ready for this? We're getting ready to drop below the line. It's called limit setting. This is a Dr. Fred Jones term. This is how to address students who are not compliant. This begins to address what if they don't, and then what do I do? Limit setting. This is. In which room would I find the course called how to say sit down and shut up and nurturing and supportive being? It's also, well, I think the ideal student-teacher relationship is when the kid totally adores you, but lives in mortal terror of you at the same time. And there's a lot of truth to this. Linda Ridgway, I would often hear her say, I love you, but I'm going to get you, or I'm going to hurt you. And when she said that, guys, you can't say that. I'm serious when I say this. You cannot get by with saying, I'm going to hurt you, I'm going to get you, if you have not established this phenomenal, rock-solid relationship with these kids. Linda Ridgway did just that. So when Linda said, I love you, but I'm going to hurt you, these kids immediately understood. That's right. Okay? They feared her with a healthy fear, and I believe that too is a biblical concept. A healthy fear, but they also adored her at the same time. You got to figure out how to do that. When you set limits, your actions affect more than just the students who you are directly addressing. Guys, don't let this concept get by you, you first-year teachers. When you are setting limits with kids, and it may be right here that I'm setting a limit with you, but as I am doing that, I'm setting a limit with this entire class. Okay? So Nicole, if you're doing something that I don't like and I'm dealing with just you, it's impacting everybody in this room. Let that sink in. Okay? And leverage that. Quick story. Ty Kirkbride, part of this story. Ty. This when we first moved here, Ty was about 2 years old. Here's Beth Ann was a baby. 5 boys at Beth Ann, and they had done something that just irritated the stood out. I think it was something outside. I told them to do something or not do something, and they did something. And so I brought all of them in, including Ty. Beth Ann, like I said, she was a baby, so let's be clear, she was not part of this story. So I tell them, and this is bad news, Jeremy, in my house. When I say go to my room, they know what's coming. Okay, that's not good, Jeremy. Kirkbride has to go to the room. So I told all of them, Easton, Bowen, Wilson, Luke, and Ty, go to my room. And so they go to my room, and I did the thing that just drives me nuts. I made So I don't know how long I made them live, I made them live. So I go in the room, and they're standing there in birth order and size order. So whatever it was. And here's Ty, he's 2 years old. 2 years old. And he just is out there with me. And so I get in there and whatever it was, I busted out on, okay, I know what's coming. I'm going to give you spankings. Spankings. Starting with the oldest, Easton. Going down to Ty. I wouldn't have touched Ty. He wasn't old enough. So I get up there and Easton assumes a position. I gave his leg or licks. And the moment I hit Easton the first time, Ty, 2-year-old, sits down and sticks his thumb in. You can see his eyes. Exactly what was about to happen. He's 2 years old. He had nothing to do with any of that. And my point is, I learned a lesson that day. I never touched him, never really fought. He didn't really do anything, but he watched these brothers all get a lick or two. Bless his heart. So, when you are setting limits with your kids, you're setting limits with everybody in the room. That can be good or that can be bad, depending on how you go about that. Setting limits will scare Tier 1 kids to death, and I don't mean that literally. But those Tier 1, those 85% of the kids, if you set limits with them, and that gets something, oh, it might make you anxious a little bit when I'm walking over toward you. Because you're a pretty classy Tier 1 kid. I bet you did everything you were supposed to do in class, right? Absolutely. If I ask your mom, I haven't seen that. All right, Tier 2 kids, setting limits will put them appropriately in their place. It can be very effective with Tier 3 and Tier 4. If, capital I, capital F, underline, circle it, put a highlight and sparkles around it, if you have built appropriate relationships, if you have sent the correct messages, if your class sizes are all in the right tier where they're supposed to be, limit setting will work very effectively. Limit setting is body language. One example. It's gestures, it's verbal clues, it's proximity control, it's a means of addressing unacceptable behavior. And guys, first year teachers, don't let this get by you. This is huge. It is body language, proximity control, it is eye contact. This is how you discipline kids without disciplining kids. It's setting limits with kids with your body. By looking at them, interacting with them, moving about the room, working the crowd, as Fred Jones would say. This is probably more difficult for less experienced teachers than for your experienced teachers. Experienced teachers can do this with their eyes closed. This is just what you do. You discipline a class with your body and your eye contact, and your gestures, the look. Okay? That's Beth Ann. That's the only girl with the 6 brothers. She just got squirted with a water hose. She's about 2 years old at this point. I love this picture. Just give me an opportunity to put a picture up there. This is a look. Now, if you can recreate this look with your class, think about that for a second. They walk in, and they're not following your pencil sharpening procedure, Christine. I've seen you use this face. She's good at it. That's limit setting right here. But if you have no relationship with them, they don't take you seriously, your group sizes are out of whack, this look will only make them laugh at you. They won't take that even seriously. Okay? But this look says, I am not amused. Limit setting. Keep it cheap. We'll talk about this for a minute. First year teachers, pay attention. If I'm up here in front of my class and I am teaching, and Trevor is back there cutting up, doing something Trevor shouldn't be doing, even with his dad in the room. Trevor, why don't you do that? Typical Dave. If I have to stop what I'm doing, and I address Trevor from up here in the front of this room, and I call Trevor's name, that is very expensive. Think about it. So I'm teaching, I've got the groove on, we're doing stuff, I've got projects all set up, whatever it is, and we're going on, and Trevor's back there goofing up with Joel, because Joel and Trevor just can't sit beside each other. Look at that. See, no respect. And I stop what I'm doing, and I'm calling both by name. Joel, stop it. I've told you a million times to quit doing that with Trevor. Trevor, he's a bad influence on you, and I've told you not to sit right there. Now, guess what's happening right here while I'm doing that? You've lost your class. Yeah, we're throwing paper back there, Miss Mullins. I saw that. We've lost your class. That's very expensive. Now, same scenario. Trevor and Joel back there goofing off a little bit. That's what kids do. And I'm up here teaching, and I've got a good relationship with them. I've built a relationship. They take me seriously. I've got my group sizes where they need to be. They're not perfect kids. I don't expect them to be. You know, I'm consistent. And I'm up here teaching, and I make eye contact with Trevor. Maybe even not stop and pause. One of those with Joel. See that? Watch it again. That's important. I'm serious. Watch it. It's important. So here's Trevor. And there's Joel. There's Joel. We got two Joels. Okay? And all I've got to do, hopefully, the cheapest thing I can do is keep teaching, make eye contact with Trevor, and he knows I'm onto him. Maybe I can even move away a little bit when I'm still watching him, and I'm still teaching. Back here, that is dirt cheap. Dirt cheap. Okay? Now, I'm up here teaching, I make eye contact, Trevor's having a bad day, and he's not getting with the program, but I still have a pretty good relationship with him. And then I'm just going to kind of start moving a little bit. Trevor, he's watching me, he's on to it a little bit. Maybe I just have to get right here, do one of these. Two Joels there, different heads, and Trevor's right there. But I'm still teaching, we're doing our thing, you guys are still focused. Maybe you're watching a little bit now because I'm moving. Okay? He's good, I'll move away. That's more expensive, it's still pretty cheap, isn't it? I haven't had to stop my teaching and do any of that. Okay. Trevor's back there, he's still not doing the program. I tried the eye contact from across the room, I moved a little closer. He's still goofing around. I'm still pretty cheap. Now it's getting a little more expensive. Pull out the wallet a little bit, not too bad. And now I'm back here teaching Knucklehead Corner for a minute. Remember, I've got a good relationship with both Joels. I've got a good relationship with Trevor. We're just kind of right here. Okay. Now, it's expensive because now everybody's watching a little bit. But I haven't really said anything to them other than just I'm back here, man. You guys have my full attention. Okay. We take care of that, and I can move on and keep teaching. Okay. That keeps it cheap. And there's a lot of different ways that can look. But that right there, that little scenario, if you experienced teachers, y'all do it every day. Don't even think about it. That is powerful. Powerful. To be able to discipline a class with proximity, eye contact, a head nod, a slight adjustment of the head. And folks, I mean, it really does matter. If you can look at somebody and just kind of slow down and pause, and I'm looking at you because you're not doing what I need you to do, and then I just do one of these. Y'all see that? That right there means business. Okay? Chris Turner, does that work? Okay, back you go. Guys, first year teachers, as y'all are doing this with your kids, keep it as cheap as you can. Now, there are times when you're going to have to pay. Because here's the other side. Here's the flip side of that. If the body language isn't working, you're not getting their attention from across the room, you go all the way back there and they're still doing what you're asking them not to do, you have to deal with it. Because remember, let's back up and stay above the line, the messages that you're sending, the consistency piece. If you can't get that under control, you're sending a bad message to the rest of the class that you can't get that under control. And maybe you're there as a first year teacher right now. Maybe you've got a group of kids and you can't get them under control. So, don't beat yourself up. Take responsibility for it. Time and energy to fix it. Get help from your mentor and mentor leaders. Go fix it. It can be fixed. Go fix it. You got to do it. Keep it as cheap as you can. Any questions or comments or other little tidbits from our experienced teachers about keeping it cheap? Other things that you can share with them? One of the most expensive things that you can do is call a kid by name. Even if you have a relationship with them, that's expensive because everything comes to a stop. You put them on the spot, and if you don't have a relationship with them, the class doesn't take you seriously, and you call them by name, that can be potentially really bad because you just opened up the floor and given them an opportunity to talk back to you. You call their name out, and you've opened that wide open, so that's very expensive. Limit setting. Slow down. Slow down. First year teachers, 20-year teachers. We forget, we're human. We get tired, we get frustrated. Slow down. As there is power in being calm, there's power in being slow. That's truth. Okay? I can holler and scream, I get my arms up here, I get loud, I can fuss. I can speed it up real quick. Man, when you slow things down and make that eye contact, you get everybody's full attention. You can calm yourself. Dr. Fred Jones, in the sessions that I've heard from him before, he talks about the physiological effects on your body when you slow your body down. Guys, I've been there before when everything inside of me wants to speed up, wants to escalate, wants to get mad. I've been there where I was so upset that I had this shooting pain inside of my head, just a headache just firing. I'm sure that I just was, you can probably see it all over my face. Guys, if you will slow down a moment, in a really tense moment, slow down and literally, physically take a deep breath. There's power in that. Power. Slow down. Slowing down says I am calm. You have my full attention, which I said back there to Trevor earlier. It says I am committed, and maybe most importantly, I want you to hear this, it sends a message that I am in control of my emotions. I am in control of my emotions. Remember, a lot of the students who are walking through your doors every day, there are plenty of people in their world who are out of control of their emotions. They see stuff that we probably can't even fathom. They've seen it. They don't need to see it from you. Remember I talked about our mood swings in the first session? They don't need that from us. They get that at home. Not all of them, but a lot of them. So, they don't need adults in the world who are out of control emotionally. They need you to be in control emotionally. Now, you are humans. Sometimes you feel like this, right? Yes, human beings. So guys, here, I'm going to let you off the hook. If you are out of control emotionally, I mean, you're spent, meaning you're here. That's a funny picture, but y'all been here. I've been here. You need to know that about yourself. You need to check out with somebody. Get a little help. Call the office, whatever the procedure is. Go next door, knock on the book door, book her, see break. So that you can go into the teacher's lounge or wherever you need to go. Do one of those. Walk in there, scream, have it out, and walk back out and get back. Guys, that may take 5 minutes. It may take an hour, depending on your state of mind, your state of emotions, where you are. But be realistic with yourself. Give yourself a break. I'm going to tell a story I tell every year that I think exemplifies just this power of staying calm. I had a kindergartner at Carroll several years ago. Student that's still in the district, by the way. Comes into my office and he's a kindergartner. He is upset, he's mad, and he is tearing my office up. I think somebody told me a similar story last week. She referenced the story that I told me. Isn't that story you tell? So he's tearing up my office. He has wiped the top of my desk off. Everything is off. He's turned over a table. He's turned over my chairs. He's tearing up my office. And I'm sitting behind my desk. And I'm ignoring him. Calm. I'm just typing away. Working on it. Just typing away. He's trying everything he can to get me upset, mad, and everything he's doing should get me upset. It should get me mad. But I'm just typing away. So you can see he's trying to figure out what can I do. So he comes around to the side of my desk and he gets right in my ear and he just screams as loud as he can. I'm like, right here. Staying calm, staying calm, staying calm. Finally, he crawls up on my chair. It's on my back. It's up. I've heard the story before, a lot of you. It's on my shoulders. Crawls up on top of my head. It sits on top of my head. Types kindergarten on top of my head. Dr. Seuss story. Just typing away. And I had this, I always tell this part, I had this flash of, I've gone to, I have 3 degrees. I've worked really hard in my career. I have a kid sitting. And I kid you not. After, I don't know, 30 seconds, maybe a little bit less, I don't even know how he really balanced himself. He never did it. He just kind of goes, crawls home, and he gets down, and he walks in front of my desk that's a mess now. And he just kind of sits there, just typing. You can see the wheels turning in his head, and he's thinking, what else can I do to him? I screamed in his ear toward his office, and I sat on his head. That man did nothing. So he just kind of resigned, and he learned a huge lesson that day, Jeremy, that there's nothing else he could do to me other than just physically harm me, which kids will do. I know that. He didn't go there with me. He learned a huge lesson from me. That kid has been a handful for the past 12 years in the district. But as far as my relationship with him for the next 5 or 6 years, we were fifth grade with campus at the time, he wasn't perfect. He never messed with me. He never messed with me. And then, kind of to cap the story off, Joe, he had to go to the bathroom all of a sudden. Like he did that after he said so he said, Dr. Kirkbride, I need to go to the bathroom. I said, okay. I almost said his name. Okay. I said, I'll tell you what, clean up my office and you can go to the bathroom. And now he stopped for a second there and you can see, I'm not going to do that. He can't make it. And then all of a sudden you realize this is the man I just said and said, there's nothing I can do. He's going to make me clean up this office before I go to the bathroom. And so he starts cleaning it up now. It wasn't perfect, Jocelyn. It wasn't perfect. And what I did, here's the human dignity piece of this. I knew he needed to go to the bathroom. I also knew that I told him he had to clean the office before he could go. And I knew that was important that he knew. I meant what I said. So I helped him. I helped him clean it up. And that's powerful too. Because here's a man, he just tore up my office. It treated me really badly. And I still have it in me to help him in a situation where I know he needs to go to the bathroom. Powerful, powerful, powerful. Calm. So if you hear anything today, and I hope you hear a lot today, stay calm. And when you need a break, tag up with somebody, go get your break, and then come back and try to stay calm. Choctaw, real quickly, kids are going to be gamblers. They're going to be gamblers in your classroom. They're going to push it because they're kids. They're going to push it as far as they can, as far as they'll let them. They'll push it. So just understand that. Kids aren't perfect. The Trevors and the Joels of the world will be in your classroom. They're good kids, but they're going to push it a little bit. And it all is this little game about how much is he or she going to let me get by with. In the mornings in the cafeteria at Terrell, we had at the time, we had all of our 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders come in the cafeteria, wait for the bell to ring, so it's just me in there. And so we just had a standard rule, you can't talk when you're in here, which is the easiest way for me to control 180 kids, and just me. And I would just stand at the front, and I call them turtle heads, because they would sit there and they'd be down there read the book, and you'd see them look up, and I'd give them a eye contact and head back down. Turtle heads. Checking me out, seeing what I was doing. The teachers walked through the little patio door there, and one of them stopped me and wanted to chat with me a little bit, Stacy. I just knew, and here's the thing, just know how kids function. I knew the moment the teacher started talking to me, the kids were going to start just what it was. And so instead of getting mad and angry about that because they know they're not supposed to talk, just accept it. That I've got a teacher here, they're going to do it because they're gamblers. They're going to talk, they're going to get by with what they get by with. And I just got to short this conversation with the teacher, let her get on so I can get back to this. Calm. Okay? Calm. That's just one little piece on the gamblers. So just understand you're going to have gamblers in your life. Now, what you want is very conservative gamblers. I mean that. You don't want aggressive gamblers in your classroom. You want very conservative. That all goes back to staying above the line. All right. So, until now, you have not heard anything from me about consequences, have you? Have I mentioned anything about consequences? Kids being in trouble? We're in our last 20 to 30 minutes of this presentation. You haven't heard a thing from me going back in the first session about kids being in trouble. So, let's talk about it. This is what Fred Jones would call your discipline system. All right. Y'all know what a discipline system is? What it is? Comments? Y'all know what it is? A discipline system? Come on, y'all know what it is. What is it? Yeah, structure for your discipline. What can that look like? Give me some examples of what a discipline system may look like inside the classroom. Y'all have them in your room right now. What is it? Yeah. What is it? So if I get in trouble in your classroom, what's that? Okay. So I'm talking to my neighbor all day long. I get moved. Okay. What's another consequence for being in trouble in schools?
Parent call.
Parent call. Okay. Referral. What is it? Referral. Referral. What else?
Mark in your planner.
Mark in your planner. What else? Close your eyes and picture what's on your wall. What's the first thing usually?
Warning.
Verbal warning. Right? Verbal warning. Then what? What is it?
5 minutes out of recess.
5 minutes out of recess. I miss you. Then what?
Then 10 minutes out of
10 minutes.
recess.
What else?
You're gonna sit out the hall recess.
Okay, the following progression, the parent call, parent conference, office referral. That's your discipline system. Okay? Now, most of y'all, if not all of y'all in this room, have some form of that. Again, I don't know what it looks like, say it's at high school level. I don't know, but you've got something. You know, detention, Saturday school. Yeah, you got something. What is it?
DNC.
DNC? Okay. All right. So here's first year teachers. I'm gonna let y'all off the hook here. If you need your discipline system, you probably will. Just have to accept that. You probably will. You veteran teachers, I'm sure you use it. I hope you learned something today. Maybe you can use it less. Veteran teachers should be able to use it less. I don't mean that offensively. Veteran teachers should be able to use a discipline system less. If you followed a lot of these concepts and keep these things in mind. But first year teachers, it's the equivalent of basically walking down the hallway with a clipboard. Okay. Now, check marks as you're watching kids walk down the hallway or whatnot. Okay, that's your discipline system. What is the best discipline system in the whole wide world? Okay, I'll give you that. Not the best. But that's a good one.
What you don't use.
What?
What you don't have to use.
You don't have to use a discipline system at all. So what becomes the discipline system if you don't have to use a discipline system? Who else learning? What is it? You're getting close. What becomes the discipline system if you don't have to use a discipline system? Touching on it.
The anticipation of it.
If I ask it this way, you'll know the answer. Who is the discipline system? You are. The teacher. When you walk into the room, you're the discipline system. You're it. No check marks. No loss of recess. No DMC. No detention. It's you. Because guilt. Who said guilt? What else? Relationships. Okay? That's what it is. Now, guys, the years I taught, I had one class that it was perfect. I don't know if it mattered if it was me or a monkey. I don't know. They were just great. I could walk down the classroom, walk down the hallway into the teacher's room. I'll probably just stay 3 hours down there and come back and they'd all still been right on task. 1 year. But the other years, once I kind of got through the struggle of the first 3 years of teaching, when I walked into the classroom, it was just, that was it. I just kind of walked in. And all this limit setting, eye contact, body language, because I built a relationship, I had sent the proper messages from day one, my group sizes were appropriate, I had my procedures were now routines. I didn't have perfect kids or perfect classes, but all I had to do was this, all day long. And never told a kid, go mark your card, let me see your planner, I'm going to call your mom, none of that stuff. It might have been, oh, just, but it might have been, I might have just whispered in your ear. When we walk and step outside, we're really disappointed how you're acting today. Guys, none of that works unless you stayed above the line and done that really, really well. That's not just happening. It's that time and that energy. But guys, I'm here to tell you, it's real. That can really happen. So instead of pulling into the parking lot, I've been here doing this too. Pulled into the parking lot. Especially those first 2 years, the first 3 years probably. And before I got out of the car, I didn't want to get out of the car. It was tense. My body was tense. I felt tense. I was tense. My blood pressure was probably up a little bit. And I was nervous and anxious just to walk through the doors of my classroom. But once you kind of figure all this out, guys, I can't say it enough. If you will buy into these concepts that I shared, if you will buy into it and reflect on it and think about it, first year teachers, as y'all learn and grow and just kind of figure life out a little bit more and learn how kids function in a classroom setting, once you stay above the line and can master that, and then when you pull into your parking lot, you're a little more relaxed. tense about, man, I don't want to get in there and face these kids. So I think that is this system. You can walk in, you just feel good about being in the room, feel good about your relationships with kids, and deal with them that way. So let's talk about the reality of the discipline system. You're going to need it. First year teachers are going to need it. But here's what I'm going to advise you. You may want to write this down. If you don't write it down, certainly good call. If you're going to use your discipline system, make sure you're using it with everything above the line. Don't give up on your relationships. Make sure your procedures are routines. Stick with it. Classroom structure. Make sure you have clarity exists in terms of how things are done. Here's a warning to you about using your discipline system. Guys, this is wisdom from 25, 26 years of dealing with stuff like this. Here's a warning of your discipline system, even first year teachers. Use it consistently. Okay? So, if your first consequence is 5 minutes loss of recess or a verbal warning, so let's say it's a verbal warning, let's just go down that track. And this is the first time that you've talked today. In my opinion, a loss of verbal warning, I better give you a verbal warning. If you're going to go discipline system, let's follow it, let's be consistent. So I'll give you the verbal warning. And Jeremy, who is not on my nerves near as much as Randy Jones, right? He's not near as much on my nerves, so I'm just not even going to give him a verbal warning. Maybe I go straight to the 5 minutes of recess for you. He gets the verbal warning. Okay? That's not fair. So be consistent with how you do that. Now, if it's a continuation and you've been driving me crazy, and yesterday all day long you talked and I told you, hey, tomorrow I'll put up with this, and you've been pretty good for a couple, 3 weeks, that's a little different story. Be consistent with how you apply your discipline system. Okay? Be sure that you enforce it appropriately. Jot this stuff down. Think about this feasibly and fairly. Guys, kids pick up on you being unfair. Remember when I talked about those messages? You're fair or you're unfair. They pick up on that stuff, so make sure you're being fair. Sometimes the kid back there that's been driving you crazy, you treat them differently than you treat her. Because she doesn't drive you crazy, but they're doing the same thing. So watch yourself. You have 2 kids doing the same thing, you just treat them pretty similarly. Okay? Don't paint yourself in a corner. Write that down. Think about that. I want to tell you a quick story about that. Do not paint yourself in a corner with the distance system. Here's my Catherine McCool story. And I remember Catherine's first name and last name. This was a really bad thing that I did. It wasn't the worst thing I've done in my career, but it was pretty bad. We are in this first year in South Windsor, off the state line in Tennessee. This is my first year in Tennessee. I've got this 4th grade class, and it is we're down to the last couple of weeks of school. Okay? And I'm worn out, and I'm done. And we did this deal where we wrote play day or field day, whatever it is, I wrote it on the board. Okay, y'all done that? Erase the letter every day. Anyway, we had come in, and I am just fit to be tied. It's just the end of the day. I can't get the class under control. I'm making this big announcement. The next person to talk, no field day. Done. No field day. I probably said it like that. So they're all. Guess who was the first person to say something? Catherine McCool. Catherine McCool had marked her card all year long. Catherine McCool was as perfect as perfect could be. Catherine McCool literally, I don't know how, and I believe it to this day, didn't hear me make that announcement, and she was asking someone sitting beside her about homework. So she's trying to be a studious person who whispers something about homework. And Catherine said it, and everybody in the room knew Catherine McCool was a perfect kid. Everybody in the room, except Catherine, I guess, knew that no one was supposed to talk. The next person to talk lost field day, Trevor. Guess what I did? Catherine, no field day. Catherine just melted. She's devastated, literally. And everybody in class was like, it's too field day for Catherine. So it was horrible. She was absolutely devastated. Catherine didn't make her in a walking area, walking neighborhood school, kids were walking home. I mean, all the kids didn't get out of the building for Catherine McCool. Mom was back in. She let me have it. She let me have it, and I deserve it. So don't paint yourself in a corner. say stuff like that. Because you really put yourself in a bind, because I've told you today all day long, say what you mean, hear what you say, be consistent about it. And so this is one of those times where I had to make amends with Catherine, and I had to make amends with the entire class. Because here's the thing, even though it was the last couple of weeks of school, if Catherine gets by with that, comes in the next day, and then we have field day, and everybody sees Catherine playing, but then they just heard me say Catherine Field had no play day, but there she is playing, and he doesn't even say she's going to play. Okay? So I had to come in and owe Catherine an apology because I didn't treat her fairly. That wasn't the right thing to do. I should have known better. So I apologize in front of class. I apologize to her mother for not before. You can easily paint yourself in the corner with the discipline system. Do the right thing. Make sure it's fair. Make sure it's feasible. Make sure it makes sense to the kids. Okay? And then, power in the classroom. First year teachers, you need to know this. You need to let this seep in. When you send a kid out of your classroom for someone else to discipline them, and it can be another teacher to discipline them, it can be an administrator to discipline them, you send the message to your class and to those kids that you've lost control, that you don't have control of them. Now you may get an immediate feedback or immediate payoff for that. Talk about that for a second. If you get an immediate payoff, but the long term is not going to be good with that. You don't want the kids to think and know that you've lost control of the class. So you need to do your very best to keep that control inside of your classroom. Now, first year teachers, if you need to lean on your administrator, lean on your administrator. Mentor leaders, mentors, I'm going to ask you guys to spend some time talking with them about what that look like so that they can maintain as much power in the classroom as they can. So y'all need to kind of navigate through how do you make an office referral and still maintain your power inside the classroom. So, Sarah, you were going through kind of your discipline. All discipline systems ultimately where? All discipline systems
Office referral.
to an office referral. And so what I would tell at times, Stephanie, I don't know if you remember it this way, I would tell teachers, there's really only two things that I can do that a teacher can't do as far as discipline goes as a principal. And that is I can suspend a student, teachers can't suspend students, and if necessary and appropriate with permission, I can administer corporal punishment to a student, and teachers can't do that. That's it. And the reason I say those two things is because if there's something you can do as a classroom teacher that I can do as a principal, it needs to come from you. So if I'm going to assign a detention, well, you can do that. You keep the power, you assign the detention. You keep the detention. You keep them after school. And so do as much as you can that's within your power. You take care of it. Now, if you need your administrator support, well, you need to lean on that and use that appropriately and conservatively as well. You just don't want to send that message to your students that you don't have control of them. Keep that control in your room. Experienced teachers, any feedback about that? That's a pretty heavy thing to kind of think about. I'm asking you guys to throw out some experienced teachers. Your thoughts on the administration, leaning on them and keeping power in your classroom. Any tidbits about throw out there? Please.
Dr. Kirkbride,
Yes.
you addressed a little bit the power of apologizing to a class, and getting the kid to be on your side. A lot of times they will behave better. If you have made that gesture to an entire classroom, you come with yourself, and they sort of say, okay, I'm going to behave now because they're a decent person, and I want to behave. So that's pretty powerful in my experience. That's been a pretty good technique.
Sharon, y'all heard that? Apologies. Powerful. What else? Throw out there.
I was, the very first year of teaching, that was one of the first lessons I learned, handle it yourself. That was the very first, handle it yourself. Because if you do that, you take the power away from you and you give it to whatever principal is going to handle your disciplines. The referral was on last week.
So I want to be careful here. This is why this topic is always just kind of, because it's a fine line. Because if you're a first year teacher and you truly need that administrative support, then you need it. You need to get it. But there's that side that Stacy is talking about that you got to guard it too. You got to keep that control as best you can. So you walk a fine line there. Because it also can be very unhealthy in a bad situation if you're just saying, oh, they said don't call my administrator, and you're just kind of living in this turmoil, I'll just kind of call it that. Right, I know you don't. So the fine line, Stacy, can you speak to that a little bit more, maybe how to walk that fine line, especially as a first year teacher?
Well, if some kid makes you mad, it's like, that's it, I'm writing you up. You can't, it has to be a series of events kind of thing. It has to be a large straw. Have you talked to the kid? Is it where the kid is sitting? Is it, you have to figure out what's making the situation what it is. And then there are certain things that are like, ooh, you can't do that, and that's an immediate, leave the room.
Level at the high school level too, that's a big difference between
So it's different.
discipline, absolutely. I mean, I'm sitting here with a 6'2" boy looking at me that's, I've probably been in 2 situations where I've been like, I'm not safe right now, not knowing how they're gonna respond. And so there was, once where I actually called a principal and said, I need to send him to your office right now. And this is the high school kid. I was like, he and I can't be in the same room any longer. And so, there's that situation. But I agree. I mean, with high school especially, I think you can establish a little bit more of a relationship than you can with, and talk to them a little bit more than you can with the younger ones, where the younger ones are more of a respect factor, and with the high school, it's more of an on-level respect to kind of establish that relationship.
One of the first lessons I learned was, again, if you hand the power over to the administrator, you have to accept whatever they do. And that sucks sometimes. Second thing though is I found that the administrator then made the relationship with the kid, not me. The kid then told the administrator, hey, last night things happened at my house, everything's going wrong, I haven't been able to eat the last 4 days. And the administrator now becomes on their side and I'm the bad person. And I can build that relationship, the administrator does. Which is great for administrators to have good relationships, but the first step should have been my relationship, not the administrators.
And so that right there, that example is maybe the epitome of keeping the power in your classroom. That missed opportunity to build that relationship. And I was going to come back to something you Stacey was talking about, that apology piece there. So let's say it's Sabrina, you've got a kid, he's got to go, it just has to happen. That relationship, the way you handle that kid when he comes back, he's coming back, unless there's a schedule change or something along those lines. And for the kids to see that happen, however that looks. Remember the example I gave in the first session? If a kid got in pretty big trouble with me at school, the relationship was broken, and to mend the relationship. So I would say, and I appreciate the comments, this is kind of listening to some thoughts on my part too, that if you have to use your administrator to get them out of the room because you need the support, that relationship piece is going to be very important when they come back. It's important for you and that individual kid to mend the relationship, and important for the rest of the class in their own way, not necessarily directly. With Catherine, it was a direct apology to the whole class. But with a kid that you just had to leave, you got to find some way so that people know and feel that, yeah, that kid got what he deserved. He needed to leave the room, but Miss Redwine is not giving up on that kid. And they need to see that in their own way. And they can see it by just the way, so if it's Michaela and me, they'll sense it. Maybe it's a good way to say that Michaela and Dr. K, Michaela and Miss Redwine are okay. But man, he deserved what he got 2 days ago. So walking that fine line. Sean, you have thoughts?
Don't be afraid to have a conversation with your administrator. And I think the one thing that I would add is we're talking about individual relationships, but sometimes you have that class where there are 2 or 3, and so visit with your administrators and say, what is a good strategy? I've got 3 in here. They might can help you to problem solve, and they might know best how to handle. I need to do a walkthrough during that period. So there are things that you can do, but honesty is always, be open, be transparent with your administrator, because that is their job to provide support.
I would say I unfortunately didn't even learn this until much past my first year. There is a difference between documentation and referral.
We're going to talk about that.
Documentation doesn't have to give up power. Documentation doesn't have to put the responsibility on the administrator, but it is still letting them know the situation so that if it gets worse, there is that documentation. There's that basis and foundation of this happened before, this is how I dealt with it, this time that it happened, it went further, things didn't go right, and you have that. So, I mean, yeah, it didn't really have my first year or my second, or even my third.
life lesson to teach these kids. If you have a kid, because I've had the same situation of really a kid I just felt unsafe with, or just a situation where I needed that child out of my class at that moment. But when they come back, to let them know what a second chance really means and how you're not holding a grudge against them, and you teach them the power of forgiveness. I've had kids that ended up being kids I still stay in touch with to this day that I have removed from my class at one point because they learned a life lesson of just because we had a bad moment doesn't mean I've completely given up on you. So.
A kid emailed me a couple of weeks ago telling me that they got out of a ticket because they learned de-escalation from
What we're hearing, what I'm hearing right now, it all goes back to that relationship piece and the way we interact with human beings in our classroom, whether they're 5 or 18. It's that human element. Remember, if you go back to the very beginning, we were in the people business. Y'all remember that from the first session? We were in the people business. They want to belong. They want to know that you care about them, that you know who they are. That you, I mean, all that, it all just, it's a beautiful circle. It all just comes back to working with people. And then we got to figure out a way to navigate the midst of the grindy kid that won't be quiet, the grindy kid that does more than just won't be quiet. We got to learn to deal with that. But I call it forgiveness, grace, mercy. Just to see that experience while they're being held accountable. So don't walk out of here today if we're talking about some really cool stuff here at the end, thinking kids don't need to be held accountable for behavior. Hold them accountable. My golly, hold them accountable. They need it. We all need it. But we also got that grace and forgiveness and a relationship building kids. Good stuff. I appreciate you guys sharing. That's a lot of wisdom. Anything else about that? Very helpful. Appreciate it. We're about to wrap up. I never spend hardly any time. I just kind of do a quick reference here about these exceptional behaviors. These are those Tier 4 kids. These are oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes special needs kids who have emotional disabilities and other types of disabilities. There are other people who are much more informed about that sort of thing, who are trained with that sort of thing. Brittany, right? Smiling at me. There are other people that are much more about that. Lean on your special ed staff, lean on your diagnosticians, lean on your counselors, lean on your administrators. When you've got some pretty tough kids who have some severe needs in your classrooms. I don't have, this isn't the time or the place, I don't have enough expertise to give you a lot of great information there about that. Those are Tier 3 and Tier 4 students only, but lean on the appropriate staff. Go to Denison. That note experience either from his teachers, bus drivers, and police. Denison is not a Tier 4, Tier 3, it's probably a Tier 2, sitting on the wrong side of the fence. And here we are, here. I think you guys have stuffed your brains about as much as they can be stuffed. I want to read to you guys something here before we go today. Well, 2 things I want you to see. One is in your handout. It's this time, no, do not, quote, that speaks to what we talked about today. You got your notes there. I just think it's very pointed. I have come to a frightening conclusion that I am the decisive element in the classroom. It's my personal approach. It creates the climate. It's my daily mood. It makes the weather. As a teacher, I possess tremendous power to make a child's life miserable or joyous. I can be a tool of torture or an instrument of inspiration. I can humiliate or humor, hurt or heal. In all situations, it is my response that decides whether a crisis will be escalated or de-escalated, and a child humanized or dehumanized. So, guys, the interactions that we have with our kids every single day matters. When we lose it, it matters. When we're building a relationship, that matters. It all matters. I want to read to you guys an email that I got about 3 years ago. Moore Lake Elementary was my first year of teaching. I told all that story and it just didn't go well for me. I got this letter, and I'll leave this with you, this is the closing, from one of my students in that 4th grade class. She found me, and even references that, and this was an email. I just printed it here. And the reason I want to read it to you is not to point to myself as I did anything amazing, other than to say I do want you to know that in the midst of a horrible first year, and as I told my story, if I go back and as I think about it, I would think, man, that was just a wash. Man, I didn't do any good that year. That was just, man, I wish I could just move on. Those kids probably don't even remember me. That was horrible. Wasted a year of their education. I feel that way. Until I got this, I think it was 3 years ago. Dr. Kirkbride, I am a former 4th grade student of yours from Horn Lake Elementary. My name is Tara Cisneros, but was Tara Ward back then. You may remember that I was in a very bad car wreck during the school year. I have been trying to find you for a couple of years, because I'm not on social media. I'm really frustrated. Can't find me on social media. I wanted to let you know how much you inspired me, not only as an educator, but also as a person. I will never forget the care and dedication you gave toward me as a student, both in the classroom and outside. You were such an inspirational part of my life, and part of the reason I have pursued a career in teaching. I received my master's degree in early childhood education, and I've been teaching kindergarten at Olive Branch Elementary in DeSoto County for the past 3 years. Thank you so much for all you've done and the impact you made in my life. Sincerely, Tara Cisneros. Tara's mom died in that accident. She didn't mention that here, but I remember that her mom passed away. And again, the reason I read that to you, I had no idea that I had any impact on any of those students. That's pretty powerful. And you guys, you experienced teachers, y'all have probably a file of letters like this that y'all received over the years. So you first-year teachers who are going through a grindy stage right now, perhaps, hang in there. And just know that you're making an impact on these kids. And you may not realize it for 25 years. Until someone walks up to you one day and says, hey, take those moments, file them away, and feel good about it. You guys hang in there. Mentors, mentor leaders, thank you for me today. Tony, anything else? Okay.
So, every year at the end of our mentoring program, we'll ask our first year, we'll ask all of you to fill out a survey. And this, Dr. Kirkbride's sessions are always the most requested sessions. Please continue that, or the sessions they say that was the most valuable for me. So when thinking about that, I don't want it to end here tonight. So mentors and new teachers, y'all meet. Why don't y'all revisit some of the things that Dr. Kirkbride said? Kind of bring it up because you kind of leave tonight. I know you're tired. You leave here and forget about it, but come back and revisit some of the things if you want to take your notes and look back at what he said and say, you know what, try this in your classroom. I know I've received some phone calls, with some teachers needing some help. Go back and look at these things and say, hey, that could be an answer. Let's try that. So I want to say that for y'all to visit about that. And then a couple of things. So our next after-school session will be October 7th. At that session, first-year teachers, we've asked that you read part 1 and part 2 of your book, your first year. So we will have our first book study discussion that evening. And then the other part of the evening will be stations. And we really want our mentor program to meet your needs. So in order to do that, I need to know what you need. So I will send out a survey kind of asking, hey, I would like to hear about parent conferences. I'd like to hear about ESL. I'd like to hear about what do you need. So that's what I need you to tell me, and then we will plan speakers and things for your needs. Does that make sense? So be looking for an email from me to let me know what you need before October 7th, and then also read your first 2 parts of your first year, and we'll be ready to discuss that.